But I do have a couple of quicker questions and then open it up for some discussion. So my first question for you is related to family involvement. So is there anything more that you think schools should do to encourage greater family involvement to improve student success? Just a yes or no, with one being yes and two being no. 60% of you say yes, 40% say no. Second question, is there anything more that community groups or business groups should do to improve student success? So community groups could be local nonprofit organizations, could be volunteer groups like Rotary Club or Lions Club, and then businesses would be, your businesses in your local community. Any last second voters out there? All right, let's see what you said. So here 65% of you say yes, 35% say no. So a few more said yes for this one. So let's talk about this a little bit. If you said no, I'm interested to know what you were thinking. If you said yes, how do we do it? How do we get families involved? How do we get community groups and business groups involved? Let's hear from you. What do you think?
I think with family involvement that you will run into like some fine lines with some of the families. Like I know that a lot of parents will try to rule their kids' lives for them, and it'll become too much pressure for them.
Okay.
So if their family was involved in every academic thing or more with them, that it could be too much pressure for them, too much trying to live up to what their parents want them to be, and that could be bad for them. Whereas there should still be like family involvement for the support and things, but I don't know that there's a way that schools can do that. I think that's really up to the different families and the way that they run their family on how they want to do that.
Okay, so it could be pretty difficult for a school to encourage family involvement. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to go along with what she said. Like, really, as far as I'm concerned, families should just do what they can to help the student do their best work, even if it's not like at the level of everyone else. They just need to do what they can to help that student do their best, because I mean, sometimes that's just going to put on so much pressure that students they'll collapse under the pressure and like they'll start doing more poorly.
Sure. So how does a family help a student do their best? So how can they help students learn?
If something goes wrong or like things aren't going well, then they can like offer help and they can just like give them positive encouragement rather than just saying, here's what you need to do to get better.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on either family involvement or business group and community group involvement? Yeah.
I said no for family involvement because I think schools do enough for trying to get families involved within it, but I just don't think that families just don't take the kids who want to help, so they just don't want to help. They want to maybe roll in and kind of do it.
Okay. So you feel like schools are doing everything that they can do to involve family members and there's not much more in it. Any other thoughts on these? Either family involvement or business and community group involvement. Does anyone have examples of way that DeWitt involves families or business and community groups in student learning?
Yeah. This isn't really related to DeWitt specifically, but I think that families and parents at home need to have like that standard for their student to do well, try their best in school and stuff in order for that student to like excel and like have confidence in their work. Whereas but not every family does that, so it's not really the school can't really control what parents do or when they're home or when they're not working and the standards that they uphold in their household. It's not really anything that the school can control.
Okay. Any other thoughts on how we can involve families in a student's learning or community groups? None? I have a feeling that there are probably a lot of businesses and community groups that interact with DeWitt High School. Does anyone have an example?
I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know why they're not. We had a big community expo. Don't you guys know that? Or we run by all the businesses, local businesses down through here. We had tons of them here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are any of you graduating this year, seniors? Have you gotten an opportunity to do any kind of job shadowing or that sort of thing? So was that done through
We're all
school?
required to do a job shadow.
Okay. And did you feel like that helped you kind of figure out what you want to do or not do? Okay.
And And I think when the DCG too, the Deutsch Creativity Group, is also really good about working with the students in the businesses, and that's really nice because when you feel the support of your community and your business, you want to do better because you want to represent your community better.
Sure.
So like, and especially with the businesses, if you have an opportunity to go and to job shadow them like we all do, or just learn about their business and they're willing to help you out, then that helps you in the long run as well.
Sure.
And we've had a lot of like opportunities that we wouldn't have had otherwise with the DCG now that they've been doing for us. I feel like DeWitt is doing really good on having the businesses involved with us or trying to.
Definitely. So it's an opportunity for you to network and also maybe learn about some careers that you might not have known yet. All right. Any other thoughts before we move into our fifth? Also, does anyone have any additional ideas that they haven't shared so far about schools that maybe you just didn't know how they fit into some of the questions that I asked that you want to share? So our fifth option, or discussion rather, is centered around how our state spends on education. So obviously, you know, we know that it's no secret that Michigan's economy and our nationwide economy, really the worldwide economy, is struggling right now. And we know that schools a lot of times are having to kind of skip because they are really strapped for resources for school programs and for instruction. So I want to get your thoughts on how our state as a whole invests in education specifically, but also about how we spend our money as a state and where maybe we should have investment priorities, particularly around student learning. So if you look at pages 16 and 17 of your issue guide, there are a bunch of graphs there. Some things I want to highlight for you on those graphs. So if you're working and you're a tax, that means you're paying taxes to the state of Michigan, and you know, if your families work as well, then they're paying taxes to the state of Michigan as part of as being a Michigan resident. So what the state of Michigan does with that tax revenue is outlined on those graphs on page 16. So you can see that Michigan's highest funding priority is K-12 education. So more than 4 out of every $10 in tax revenue that our state receives goes towards the K-12 schools, 41%. So that's definitely encouraging for student learning. However, you will see at the graph at the bottom of page 16 that our investment in education as a state has been declining by about $1 billion a year every year since 2003. So for almost a decade, that investment in schools has been declining from our state. So those are things I want to ask you about. I also, on page 17, you can see a breakdown of where the money goes within the school system. So you can see the largest percentage of school funds goes towards instruction, so you know, classroom instruction, helping students learn. Then you can see where the rest of the money within the school system goes. So I encourage you to take a look at that. You can also see on page 16 where that pie chart is. You can see where the rest of the tax revenue goes, so what programs money is allocated to within our state. And you can also see where we rank nationally in our investment in education. So take a second to look that over. And I really do apologize for it that I've run out of issue guides, but I will get you guys the forms that go inside of that in just a moment. Take a moment to look it over. I'm going to put up the first question, but take your time, answer it whenever you're ready. So these questions are really kind of business jargony, but I will try and make them as clear as possible because they're kind of business terms. So my question here, after looking at it and looking how we spend on education as a state, just want to know if you feel that the current Michigan education system, so the K-12 education system, does it offer those who are paying taxes a good return on their investment? So are they getting a good product for the money that they pay in to our state from the schools? So if you agree, you would say, yeah, you know, the money that taxpayers, so your parents or your family members or you are paying in, is getting a good product. You know, it's resulting in students learning well. If you disagree, you would say no, you know, it's not as good of an investment as I would have hoped. I'm not getting a good return on the money that I paid in. So take a moment to think about that. You've got 5 options there, with 1 being strongly agree, 5 being strongly disagree. And then I will see what you have to say.